webinar in the Future Leaders series. This time we have a great PR person. She's going to teach us how to speak in this digital transformation times. I'm meaning to Hortensia Nastase. She has been extremely kind to accept our offer to be a speaker at this series. She is a Vice President, Creative Services at Lowe Group, in which capacity she coordinates the activities of creative public relations and experiential agencies. She has more than 22 years of experience in marketing and communication, so she exactly knows what she's doing, and a lot of years in management positions. And she has a very diverse professional background and educational background. She's a member of the board of directors of International Advertising Associations. She's the first marketing person invited to lecture in the MBA classes of CTU of Seattle in Romania, and the first communication pro invited as a trainer by the Banking Institute of Romania. And she has just been selected as the first 100 Romanian women by The Economist, or if I'm not mistaken,
Business Magazine.
The business magazine. So she's quite important and renowned and recognized here, her work here in Romania. She holds a degree in foreign languages from the University of Bucharest. She's a graduate of an executive MBA from WU Executive Academy, Vienna University of Economics and Business, and Carlson Schools of Management, University of Minnesota, United States, and the Chartered Institute of Public Relations, London. So, hello, Hortensia. This webinar started from one of your interviews, actually, the AI religion. And we have invited you to support us in this fellowship with your knowledge and interaction, to your willingness to interact with our fellows. So please just let us know how you are doing and what you are going to, let's just say, teach us this.
Thank you, Paul.
Evening.
Thank you, Paul. Very kind of you, actually. I'm humbled by this introduction. Welcome to Bianca, and whoever wants to join is more than welcome. A couple of things before I start. Everything that I've done to this day, I owe to the team and the teams that I have worked with throughout the years. We are nothing without the people around us. And we just, I am in a position to boast with the work that our team is doing, thanks to them. So it's a privilege. And second, please don't be shy and please interrupt. I have prepared an abridged session about insights of modern communication. And I do encourage you to ask questions and do so without raising hands, virtual hands or anything. Just please kick the dialogue, because when I start sharing, I will probably not be able to see you guys anymore. So please feel free to interrupt me. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay.
Yes.
So $7 billion in market value were destroyed in a single message in under 12 hours. A CEO's careless comment on Twitter erased decades of carefully built reputation overnight. And you will ask me, how was this possible? So I will say, in our hyper-connected world, every single word that you say or write can literally make or break the reputation of your company. So I don't want to be paranoid or put you in the wrong mood. But my main message, or one of my main messages today, is you have to be aware that there are no more safe spaces anymore, and you literally live and breathe the reputation of your company, of your institution, and of your own brand, after all. So before we start, let me say a few words about who we are. Golin, the company that I work for, is one of the most important American PR networks, and we are actually a top global network. Our headquarters is in Chicago, in the building that you see on the screen. We have presence everywhere in the world where PR matters. And this year we celebrate 70 years in the market, and we boast a very long average client tenure. Our name proudly comes from our founder, L. Golin. You can see him in the images on the screen. In the black and white photo, he's the young man on the left, accompanying Ernest Hemingway at the beginning of his career when he just started his company 70 years ago. And you can see him in the company of some famous unknown people like Obama and Hillary Clinton. He's a Democrat. He was a Democrat from Chicago. And I was extremely lucky to meet him a few times. And I've learned some amazing lessons from this great man. We are part of the largest global marketing holding group, which is called Omnicom, listed on New York Stock Exchange, which covers everything in marketing and communications from PR and strategy to creative, digital, and social media. In Romania, we are industry builders. We are one of the first agencies to have been established on the market. We were born in 1993. And we are one of the top communication groups with consolidated billings of over 60 million euro last year. We stand in good company. We have a very comprehensive and balanced portfolio of clients. You can see that we span a wide range of industries. Our clients are all private companies. So we work in the commercial space, from pharma to banks and from retail to investment funds. So we have a very strong team with the versatility to work with very diverse stakeholders. About your speaker today, at a European level, as Paul said, I am running our operations for continental Europe and the MENA region, and I've been doing so for 10 years. And at a local level, which is my second hat, I'm running our group in the PR, digital creative and events area. So let's start with the conclusions. I'd like you to remember three things, or at least three things after our discussion today. First of all, you've got control. In every second of your life, the control button is with you. So no matter what question you receive or what situation you are in, you and your brain have got control. Use it. The second thing is that journalists are the most important stakeholders in building reputation, actually, but the ecosystem of stakeholders is much wider today. But talking about journalists and influencers, you shouldn't look at them as your enemies. They're neither your friends. They're just some human beings trying to do their job. So help them. And then exactly what I said at the beginning of our call, you are exposed 24/7, every second of your public life. You are exposed, so there are no more safe spaces anymore. So please do never use the off the record syntagm. It's a false friend. So reputation is a highly volatile and time-sensitive and cranky construct, and it's built over years, and it can be destroyed in moments. The asymmetry between these two areas means that prevention and preparation are more important than ever, and this is what makes you not only communication specialists or managers of, operations, but architects of reputation. And being architect of reputation in today's world is freaking difficult because we stand at the intersection of these three critical forces. Unprecedented transparency demands, stakeholder expectations are at an all-time high, and digital amplification of every misstep. So you need to master reputation architecture in order not just to adapt, but to thrive. So I have built for you an abridged presentation containing the principles of reputation in this new transparency paradigm. And we are going to look at 10 insights of modern communication. The first one is that we are definitely living in the fourth revolution, as they call it today, after the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century and the mass production revolution in the 19th century, then followed the digital revolution in the 50s, and today we live the cyber-physical revolution, right? So we have moved from information scarcity to information abundance. But let me ask you, do you think more information means we are better informed? Because actually we are not. Information abundance means that we can get into the analysis paralysis mode. I mean, we have so much data that we don't know what to do with it. And it also means that we can get into massive misinformation and disinformation and even malinformation, right? So the solution here is not to forget that in this world of endless possibilities, reputation is the only thing you've got. And you need to invest in it accordingly. And when I say invest, I don't refer to budgets in your case, but I refer to time, reading, energy, headspace. The way you should look at the world today is...
And sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, please.
This fellowship is an example of his investments. So I must say that. I'm so sorry.
Exactly. That's what you guys are doing. The fact that you spend one hour of your time with us tonight is proof of concept. Thank you, Paul. Right. So the way you should look at things today is that not that every person has a voice, but every person has a megaphone. Yeah. So anyone can be an influential voice in your ecosystem. And the dangerous reality is that opinions become incontestable truths just because they're stated. And they circulate at the speed of light, and they create huge emotional waves. So if you're part of an organization or you're in charge with a brand, you need to develop very early warning systems. You need to be aware of all the social media discussions regarding your brand or your institution so that you can identify those seeds of potential crises before they actually erupt. The third thing is that there's no more safe spaces anymore. And this is, if you have the curiosity after the lecture to read on the internet about the better.com, Vishal Garg's story, it's a famous story, a manual case about the disappearance of social space, social safe space. So this guy was the CEO of a huge mortgage company in the US, better.com. They just received a 750 million cash infusion, and they had a valuation of around $7 billion. It's the case with which I started my presentation today. And what he did is that he fired 900 employees via a cold one-way video call. And then he later accused the terminated employees of stealing from the company because they were just working for 2 hours a day. He also called them dumb dolphins. And this was all leaked from a private conversation that he had with his executive board colleagues. One of them leaked the information to the media, and you can just imagine that complete reputational disaster followed, and the company's valuation plummeted, and investors and employees revolted. And to this day, they're struggling to bring back the profits of the company back to the level of the start. So the main lesson here is that we don't have any more private talks and safe corners, so be careful of that. The next story is about the terrifying truth that truth now looks completely different from one channel to another, right? You are all very young guys, and you navigate from Facebook to Instagram to LinkedIn to TikTok to Twitch to Snapchat, right? Here is the Romanian case. Right after the cancelled election at the end of 2024, we did this piece of research at the agency, okay? So we are at TikTok today, in TikTok, we are 9 million users in Romania, about 9 million, and we are closing 10 million. By the end of this year, we will be 10 million users TikTok in Romania, right? So what happened on the Romanian online media versus on internet and versus on TikTok between October 2024 and February 2025 showed us some terrifying conclusions. Nothing that was being discussed on national television or in online media had any traction, any importance in TikTok. So people on traditional channels were discussing economics, infrastructure, health, whatever. People in TikTok, do you know what they were discussing? They were discussing nationalism, right? So in only 4 months during our survey, video content on TikTok containing the word nationalism reached more than 1 million videos, right? 1 million videos were created and distributed on TikTok during that stage. And let me ask you a question. How many views do you think that this content talking about nationalism generated during that period of time? Give me a number. How many views?
I don't know, maybe 100 million views.
Okay, do I have other opinions?
I would say
Higher
80 million.
80 million.
Higher or lower?
I say 500 million.
Okay, I
200.
don't know. Okay. Okay, 18 billion views. This is the actual number of views that 1 million videos about nationalism generated in Romania in 4 months. How is that possible? It is possible because of the algorithm, you know, which keeps feeding you the same type of content that you watch. And with all the entertaining videos and songs and poems that were being distributed, it was absolutely crazy. So the reality is that there is a huge cleavage between TikTok and traditional media. And we can absolutely say that TikTok today generates the public agenda. And we have a lot of clients in the agency that have actual crises of communication that start on TikTok, explode in TikTok, become larger and larger in impact, and only afterwards they become picked up by national television. So when you see a crisis on Pro TV at 7 p.m., it's already been crunched for 2 days before in TikTok, and 10 million Romanians have seen it already. Okay, so the lesson here is that not all your stakeholders get the same information about your company, right? And you are architects of reputation, remember? You need to make sure that the information about your company gets disseminated to all your stakeholders in the right way, and that you master this fragmentation. So let me ask you a question. What do you think is more important, authenticity or perfection? What would you choose if you could choose one?
I would definitely choose authenticity because that can make you remarkable in the market, that can make you stand out, while perfection, I mean, we can all try to be perfect, but it's not a very good process and we can get lost in it. While if we have a company that says, okay, these are our values, this is what we strive for, this is what makes us, then it settles us apart.
You're so right. And I'm so happy that you saw this thread. And you're so right. It's authenticity because it's what people want. People want real things, real stories, real people. They want to see mistakes. And they want to see you assuming your mistakes and correcting them. And this example of the moment that was called Hair Like Mine, it really went around the world. You may remember it. It's this 5-year-old little fellow called Jacob Philadelphia, who asked President Obama if his hair feels like his hair. The president's hair feels like his hair. And the immediate reaction of the president was to bow in front of that kid and tell him, touch it, feel it, see for yourself. This is a real proof of authenticity, and it doesn't mean sharing everything, but it means being genuine about what you share. And to your point, this guy is authentic too. Okay? I mean, you may remember this moment when one of his staff members fell down in the Oval Office, and all those people were, panicking, and they called 911 and all. And this guy couldn't give a shit about it. He couldn't care less about it. And look at his face. He's being authentic. He has people loving him for being authentic. So if you are a kind person or an asshole, be authentic about it, assume, be self-aware, and you definitely won 50% of the war. But to your point about authenticity helping you to be unique and to have your edge and your angle, you're so right. And here is what happens when authenticity fails. There was a huge aviation tragedy a couple of years ago, the Air India tragedy, following the fatal crash that killed more than 200 people in India. The CEO of the company issued a statement in which he was expressing sorrow and sympathy, and so far so good. He did it by the book. The problem was this. Within hours, social media exploded with side-by-side comparisons showing that his statements were nearly identical. The yellow parts are identical, with a previous apology by the CEO of American Airlines just a few months before in a similar situation. So even in tragedy, or especially in tragedy, people expect authentic humanity and not copy-paste corporate speech, right? So the lesson is this. People don't want polish, they want humanity, they want vulnerability. It's okay to make mistakes, but be honest about them. Okay. Do you guys drive? Does any one of you drive?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you think you're good drivers?
Yes.
Okay, so most of us, I drive, and I think I'm a great driver. So most of us believe that they're great drivers, and I think this is it's one of my favorite metaphors, because actually it's the same with leadership. Most of us think we are great leaders, right? You will hardly meet a person that says, I'm not a great leader, but I'm in a management position. Okay, so here's a wake-up call. Statistics shows that 70% of leaders rate themselves as inspiring and motivating, right? 70%. Reality is that 65% of employees, so almost the same, would give up a salary raise in order to see their leader fired. Right? So the difference of perspective, my perspective versus my people's perspective, is it should really be a showstopper. We should stop and think about it and analyze ourselves. This point is about being humble, and it's not by choice, by chance that I decided to illustrate this point with this image. This is Michelle Obama at an event which is called Impact. It took place last year in Romania. She was here in a room with 2,500 people who came to listen to her talk for 1 hour. And the last thing that she said, the last question that she received was, tell us 5 words that you want these people in this room to go home with from you. And she said, stay humble, keep working hard. And the humbleness, which is the humility imperative, it's such an important attribute that, especially in the Romanian culture, is not yet considered at the right of its value. Being humble doesn't mean being inferior. It doesn't mean being modest. It means being kind to the other. It means not bragging about things. It means having empathy. It means having self-irony. It means being selfless. and putting the other people in your team front, or at least being careful at their needs. And we strongly believe that we can be, ferociously ambitious. Nothing stops us from being ambitious, but at the same time, we should be fundamentally kind to each other. And let me show you, I hope you can hear the sound. If not, to tell me, and I'm not sure I shared with sound. Let me give you an example of a complete and utter lack of humbleness. Can you hear it? Okay, you can't hear it. Probably I didn't share with sound. Give me a second, please, to make sure that I now include sound. Just a second. Here it comes.
When the last BHS store closes its doors for a final time, it'll mean the
Can you
last
hear it?
launch of 11,000 workers will have lost their jobs. But the man who used to own the stores has been hiring this summer. His super yacht is supposed to have 40 staff, among them a chef and a dog walker. Eventually we returned to shore, and it was here we finally encountered the retail tycoon, though he could hardly have been less pleased to see us.
I'm going to call the police if you don't go.
Sir Philip, people want to know why you're on holiday when they think that you're supposed to be sorting out the pension deficit.
Will you go away?
Why won't you talk to people?
Will you go away?
I will go away. You can squirt with me water.
Go away.
Why won't you just answer a couple of questions?
Go away.
Have you got a message
Which
for
bit are you not understanding?
Hang on,
go
hang on,
away.
hang on, hang on. There's no need
Just
for
go
any violence.
away.
We're asking you questions.
That's going to go in the... Get off.
For the record, Sir Philip and I calmly shook hands off camera and went our separate ways. He back to his luxury yacht, my cameraman and I to ponder what just happened. David Bowden, Sky News in Ithaca.
Okay, remember what I said at the beginning, that you've got control. Control is, you have the control button, okay? The way you react in situations like this depends totally on you. And this is a classic example of lack of empathy and the bad management of the situation. The humility imperative, right? And this is, I was surprised actually, because you wouldn't expect words of wisdom from Jane Fonda, but here it is, a very true one. Strive to be more interested than interesting, right? That's another way of putting humility first. Preparation is key, and I have not enough words to stress how important it is to prepare. You know, they say people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of death. Of death? You would rather be in a coffin than on a stage speaking to people. So in order to navigate this, preparation is key. And they say you have to rehearse for 1 hour for every 1 minute of presentation. Well, it might be an exaggeration, but actually I don't think it is. So let me show you 2 examples. One is a flop, how not to go on stage in front of people without being properly prepared. And the other one is a brilliant example of what good preparation shows. The first one is from 10 years ago, actually, or probably more, at a Samsung CES event, but it still remains extremely used in public speaking sessions because it's epic. This is the Transformers director, Michael Bay, and he experienced a legendary on-stage meltdown because his prompter failed and he couldn't do the speech without the prompter. So this is what happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, director and producer Michael Bay. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Joe.
Good afternoon, Michael.
How is everyone today? My job as a director is I get to dream for a living.
Michael, you know, you're known for such unbelievable action. What inspires you? How do you come up with these unbelievable ideas?
I create visual worlds that are so beyond everyone's normal life experiences And Hollywood is a place that creates a viewer escape. And what I try to do is, as a director, I try to... the type is all off, sorry, but I'll just wing this.
Tell us what you think.
Yeah, we'll wing it right now. I try to take people on an emotional ride, and
The curve? How do you think it's going to impact how viewers experience your movies?
excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's thank Michael Bay for joining us.
Stage fright, we can all have it, but it's very important to be prepared. You need to learn some of the key messages by heart. You need to do rehearsal in front of the mirror. Don't let yourself at the improvisation whim. You might not make it. And now let's show you a good example. And this is a TV interview from one CEO of an AI platform. And this is how he delivers his elevator pitch in a brilliant way. Both the verbal content and his mimicking and gestures are very well studied and rehearsed. And this is how he makes it.
Is an artificial intelligence platform that's designed to focus exclusively on healthcare. And what we do is we merge vast amounts of patient data that's out there to help understand how do you get the right drug to the right patient at the right time.
Okay, that's so simple. And he explains something abstract in a very easy way. And he uses his hands in order to accompany the words, right? So he says very simply what the company is, what it does, and what it focuses on. He uses the rule of three, which is essential. He uses his gestures in the right way in TV, and he's simply nailing it. Yeah? Okay, rehearse. Let me ask you one question here, and we are going into a very juicy topic, which is the verbal, non-verbal communication. Do you think this woman looks happy? Does she look happy? No, she doesn't look happy. This is Catherine Weymouth. She's the former editor of the Washington Post. The gentleman is the CEO of Washington Post. And this is on the day when Jeff Bezos announced that he just bought the newspaper. Before this image, Catherine had a very positive pep talk with the team and expressed a very optimistic and ambitious view of how the Washington Post will develop under the new management. And then when she passed the microphone to Donald Graham, this is the pose that she took. This is the image that she took. So you see her body language tells a completely different story from what she had just delivered to her colleagues. She had avoid crossing your arms. This is the first thing. This is the first lesson to start with. And smile naturally. So her image is very defensive because of the position of her arms, and she doesn't look happy at all. So a nice natural smile would have saved the day. This is one saying that I like so much, and it's about the first impression. You never have a second chance to make a first impression. And actually, a specialty literature says that it only takes 10 seconds for people to build credibility. In the first 10 seconds of your interaction with another person or with your audience, they already made up their mind if they believe you or not, if you're credible or not, if you're an expert or not. If you do not conquer in the first 10 seconds, it's going to be very difficult to come back afterwards. Credibility and persuasion do not come from words alone. They come from nonverbal. And actually, there is this anthropological studies which show that only 35% or even less these days come from your verbal message. The most part of the strongest part of your communication actually happens at a non-verbal level, and it's the way in which you deliver the message, your body language, your vocal tone, your inflections, your facial expression, your eye contact. That's why I don't like webinars online. I like them in physical presence. Actually, it's very interesting that there are pieces of research that show 60% of Romanians who speak in public do not begin with a smile. Okay, 60% of us do not begin with a smile. You know how many Americans begin with a smile? 90%. Right? It's a matter of culture. And there's another thing. In corporate hierarchy in Romania, the incidence of smiling decreases as you move up the career ladder in Romania, right? So the more you are a boss, the less you smile. It's vice versa in America.
Can I jump in with a question here about smiling?
Please.
Isn't it also a cultural difference here? Because I studied recently why a lot of American companies failed in Europe, especially in Germany. And it was because their policy was to smile and ask, hey, how are you? How was your day? And so on and so forth. But then to the German public, that was seen as rude. And some people actually consider it was a sexual assault. So,
interesting. Listen,
yeah,
culture, it's very interesting. Cultural aspects and idiosyncrasies are really essential. It's very important when you go in a different geography to study a bit and learn about the differences in culture, because they may range from very sensitive ones to massive cultural differences. I think smile, it's my personal opinion, and from my experience across Europe, and MENA included, smile is a universal language of human connection, of human connectivity. I don't think there is a person on earth that is bothered by a smile. I mean, going into the sexual assault or whatever implications you read in your study must have been something else beyond the smile. I'm 48. I haven't met a person in my life who was bothered by an honest, natural smile. And there's one more thing about the smile. You can hear it even on the phone, even if they don't see your face, if they just hear your voice. If you're smiling, you can hear the smile. I love smiles. I wasn't smiley at the beginning. I learned it along the way. Right. So we are going into the way you sit on a chair. For instance, when you go on TV or to have an interview somewhere, sitting is really important, and not many people grant enough attention to this aspect. So do you think this gentleman is seated in the right position? Would this be a yes or a no for you?
I would believe he is in a right position because he is sitting towards the public and the direction that he's speaking in.
Mm-hmm. You're right about that. His direction is correct. However, when, especially for men, seated interviews, please never, ever, ever cross your legs. Never. A man should be grounded on the floor with both feet. Ideally, a lady also. I will show you examples. But for ladies, I can accept crossing the legs in certain circumstances, but never for men. Look at his legs. They don't look natural. There's nothing aesthetic there. The way the trousers come very close to the skin. You can see the socks up high. I'll show you good examples. This one is not a good example. This is a good example. This is a very correct position for both of them, okay? They're both engaged, confident, leaning towards each other. They're not on their back, lying on their back of the chair. That's very important. Try to avoid sticking your body to the back of the chair. Be upright, 90% degree in your back angle. And you see the lady is crossing her legs. She's got a skirt. The gentleman is not crossing his legs. This is the right position. And the way they're naturally smiling, you see her, the way he's moving his hands in a natural way. This is the right position. This is the right position for a lady as well. Look at her legs. Okay, although she's got a skirt, the length of the skirt, because it's below knee level, so it allows her to be properly grounded with her legs perfectly glued together on the ground and hands in her poil. How do you say that? Okay. And I cannot get enough of this US Senator Bernie Sanders at Joe Biden's inauguration. You may know this photo because it was really the talk of the mapamond of the planet for weeks. This gave meme sensations. It's definitely not the best picture of Bernie. It's got everything that you shouldn't do in a photo, but we forgive him. And you may remember some of the memes that circulated about him. Clothing, I cannot state clothing enough. This is a very long chapter, but I'm going quickly through it. The lady on the right who is on TV, national TV, and she's being interviewed, this is so wrong. When you go on TV, when you go on camera, ideally when you go in a public speaking opportunity, avoid patterns. Avoid patterns with your life. Use plain, simple, plain color. No pattern, no circles, no stripes. Avoid them, right? The image on the right is really bad from this point of view. Yeah. And also, do not wear shorts on TV or in an interview. This is a sports reporter who forgot to put on his shorts and didn't realize that in the camera's snapshot, his legs will see. And this is one of my favorites. Do you know this one?
La cheie vom avea infrastructură de transport, vom avea o cale ferată de la aeroport la Gara de Nord, vom avea un stadion, un aeroport modern la Băneasa pentru.
Okay, don't get on camera without being properly dressed. You don't know what's gonna happen. There's endless examples of situations that went wrong. Gestures are important, even in your best intentions and even despite your good image. A simple gesture, you know, can become the fun of the internet. Georgia is famous for her faces and for the right faces, and you can't even get upset. I mean, she's adorable. The internet is full of this, but try to avoid them. And then body language, and this is a very important one and one of my favorites. So you may be aware of this photo, right? This is a master class in body language. Every person in this image tells a story, right? So we will analyze Trump and Merkel. This photo was taken in 2018 in the G7 summit in Canada. Merkel posted about it on Instagram with the caption, "Day 2 of our G7 summit in Canada, spontaneous meeting between 2 working sessions," right? The context makes the body language even more significant because the summit was marked by deep tensions, with Trump arriving late, leaving early, openly clashing with traditional allies over trade tariffs, right? So it's not surprising that we see the tension in this image. If you look at Trump, right? So his arms are crossed, he's leaning back, he's got his classic defensive closed posture. He's looking upward at the standing figures, and the overall message that he conveys is something like, "I'm not moving literally or figuratively," right? I don't care what you say, right? And then if you look at Angela, her hands are pressed flat on the table and the body is leaning forward. She's obviously in an attack, assertive, dominant position. She has direct eye contact with him, and this is obviously a power move. And the message is, we have a very strong message here. I will not be ignored. Let me tell you how things are, right? And if you look at the broader group, you see that there's a sense of pressure there. And it's visually one against many, right? This is what you kind of perceive from this image. So it's a single frame, 0 words, 0 words. All the messages that you get from here are told by the bodies, right? Another example that is one of my favorites, the central figure here can read as defiance, go ahead, arrest me, do what you want to do, a mockery of the accusation, even a dark bravado. His gaze is pretty direct and steady, and the props, the handcuffs, somehow become the main character in this story. Like the eye goes first on the handcuffs, and only afterwards you go to his face. And the body says, "I'm still standing. I'm not done yet." And there's more examples of how your body posture can tell a thing or two, right? So I'm conscious of time. We are moving to the last but one point. And it's about creating your own soundbite. Do you guys know what a soundbite is? So a soundbite is a short, memorable, quotable phrase that is designed to be extracted from a longer speech or interview and to be repeated on its own. And it's got a few characteristics, like it's typically brief, like 7 to 15 seconds when spoken, so short. It's self-contained, which means that it makes sense if you take it outside the context. It's memorable, it's got a rhythm, a punch or something. It's quotable. Journalists and algorithms will want to share it and pick it up. And it's emotionally resonant, and this is very important. When you see a soundbite, first it lands in the gut and then in your brain, right? And let me give you some examples. This is a difference between a statement and a soundbite, right? The statement is, we believe that in today's competitive environment, reputation is increasingly important for business success, which is true, right? There's nothing wrong about it. It's just that it's very woody, right? It's a statement. The soundbite would be something like, in the AI era, money speaks less, reputation speaks more, right? Short, punchy, it's got a rhythm. And I'll give you more examples of good sound bites. This is one that I use about our team, about our agency. We like to say that we are kind people who kick ass. This is what everybody knows about us. And this is the sound bite, right? It surprises, it's got rhythm, it sticks. And let me give you a few more examples of famous sound bites. Tear down this wall, I have a dream, I'll be back. And some in Romanian language, iarna nu-i ca vara, ai n-ai mingea tragi la poartă, right? Inflația e ca pasta de dinți, greu de băgat înapoi în tub. Românii s-au trezit în conștiință. It's a soundbite, right? And the famous soundbite from Steve Jobs, one more thing, you may know it.
But we do have one more thing. So thank you. But there is one last thing that I'd like to talk to you about today. But there is one more thing that I want to talk about. But there is one more thing.
You got it. That was his stamp, his trademark. When you thought he ended a presentation, he came with one more thing. Okay. And the last chapter that we'll talk about is how does AI affect reputation? AI in itself is a topic that we could talk about for hours, but for today I chose to talk about two things. The first one is how the internet search is changing with AI. And the second one is about 3 skills that AI can't replace. AI is really said to be causing the disappearance of the web as we know it today. It's definitely a transformative moment. You may know that last year, ChatGPT traffic grew by more than 600%, while Google and Bing both declined. A recent Gartner survey, the famous analysts at Gartner, reached this conclusion that the channel that our stakeholders are finding us on is no longer simply Google or simply Bing, but it's AI. So when people want to know something about you, they either ask ChatGPT directly or they ask a question on Google. But what happens is that you get this synthesis at the top of the page and you no longer go on the clicks links below like you used to do. And this is why more than 90% of AI citations are zero click and come from earned, right? Earned means appearances or coverage that has not been paid for. And why it's important to know about this is that you guys work in communications or have an approach to this domain, or you are in charge of the reputation of your institutions. What people these days read more than anything is AI. And we believe what AI gives us back. The citations that AI gets back to us in the search process, we believe them. We don't ask lateral questions to make sure that we go on the source and we double check if it's right or wrong. So this is the rebirth of the press release, which was considered a very antiquated concept in the last few years. It's very important to put your press releases out there in the media and to have very actual and factual data, because this is what AI reads. And more than that, LLMs look at sources with authority. And that means top industry papers or media sources, which are considered neutral and reliable. It also means trade and niche publications. It also means industry-specific publications. It means industry communities and employee networks. So your brand or your institution or your organization needs to be present in all these authority voices channels. And one important aspect is recency. Okay, these systems are very, very willing and ready to cite content from the last 7 days. Okay, so that what they will do, that is their favorite sweet spot. They will look at incredibly new content like 7 days ago. If they can't find content from 7 days ago, they will go back like 11 or 12 months. But if you're not present every day, constantly sharing stories and creating content, you risk not to be found by the AI citations and not to be found by your customers. And the last thing I want to talk about is these 3 qualities that people believe that AI cannot replace. And the first one is curiosity, which is your ability to stay open, and it's actually the opposite of certainty. It's true that AI answers questions, but it can't ask the right ones. You are the one who asks the right questions. Curiosity drives the questions that don't have answers yet. And AI is trained on what already exists and synthesizes the past. And the curious person always pushes AI further and further with more questions. So curiosity is a skill that makes AI more powerful in human hands, right? The second one is about agility. And agility is what you do when the map runs out. AI is extraordinarily good at optimized paths when the terrain is known, but business, relationships, markets, crises, these constantly produce solutions that no model was trained on. So AI indeed optimizes, but it doesn't pivot. So it takes a person to read the room, to understand the reactions from the others, to decide in very fast changing conditions. And the last one, to your point, is resilience, right? And resilience goes somewhere where the other 2 don't. Curiosity and agility are about moving forward, but resilience is about surviving the fall. And believe me, we all fall at some point in time. There is no life without at least one good fall. So it's a skill that makes the other 2 possible when everything goes wrong, and things will always go wrong. So AI has really no experience with failure, no memory of humiliation. Resilience is built entirely from that. Resilience is not about bouncing back, it's about rebuilding. Okay? And real resilience doesn't return you to where you were, but helps you reconfigure and become a better person, right? And one more thing. See what I've done there. One more thing about resilience. It's deeply relational. You are not resilient on your own. Nobody becomes resilient alone. It happens through the people who stay with you, who say the right thing at the right moment, and who believe in you when you stop believing in yourself. So resilience is partly a collective phenomenon, and yet the most intimate individual one. Curiosity says, I don't know yet, and that's interesting. Agility says, the plan has changed again and I can move anyway. And resilience says, this broke me and I'm still here, right? These are three things that AI will never replace. And to recap, what we've discussed are these 10 insights, if you want, of reputation building. Remember that we moved from information scarcity to abundance. Remember that every person has got a megaphone, not just a voice. Remember that social media has killed safe spaces. You are exposed all the time. People are building their own truths. And it's very difficult to be present in all the different channels and navigate this fragmented world. Authenticity beats perfection. We all agree on this one. Don't forget to stay humble, no matter how far and how high you will get. Preparation is key. Don't be relentless in preparing yourself. Verbal versus non-verbal is an endless world of wealth. Create your own sound bites. Try to create a soundbite for any interaction you have, whether it's a presentation, an interview, a speech. Try to create a soundbite. In this way, you help your audience go away with something that you control. And last but not least, reputation in AI era is more difficult than ever. And the question for you is if you're in, guys. That's it.
We must get in this reputation game. I think that we already have no other choice. Thank you, Hortensia. Many sound bites in your presentation and extremely interesting. One of the most interesting presentations I've seen. And this is not exactly just a cheap conversation, but the truth. So any questions? Further questions?
I have one question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Bianca, you go first.
Savannah. Or Bianca, whomever wants. Okay, Bianca, let's go first.
Thank you. So I'm part of an organization. It's called Girls Men's Rights Hub, and it's a global platform to advance girls' rights all around the world. And it's based in UK. And I'm leading the expansion in Romania. And I want to ask, how can I start building this reputation, like reaching out to networks, going on social media? But what is your advice for someone that is starting to build this reputation?
The first thing is to know your audience, to know your public. So please perform a very thorough stakeholder mapping. Try to arrange your stakeholders on levels of importance as influencers in your process, and then on levels of difficulty of reaching out to them, and try to do this mapping and see which are the most important ones to approach first, and go down the line to the least important ones to approach. So knowing your audience in a very fragmented and thorough way is the first thing. Then look at the competition, or if I can use this word, probably competition is not the right concept, but look at the other organizations that are similar to yours and see how they have positioned themselves, what is their communication style, how often they communicate, what do they say about themselves, what's their proposition when they go to market. So try to know your peers or competitors. And then the action plan will follow, will kind of be the consequence of this analysis.
Thank you very much.
Hi. So I had two questions. So I guess the first one, you were talking about kind of how the body language can portray different things more than verbally, and you used the example of kind of Trump being sort of standoffish, not really as the divisive line, versus where there were other people who you were leaning in and being more engaged. Is that almost, I don't want to say on purpose, but is it almost like, should you be trying to do different kinds of body language depending on what kind of image you're trying to portray, I guess?
It's a great question, Savannah. I think the body language kind of accompanies who you are, right? So the body language is one facet of your personality, of your ethos, of your persona, public persona. And one important thing is that your public persona and your private personas should not be far away from each other. The farther they are from each other, the biggest problem you've got in life to be authentic, to be real, to be persuasive. So this should be overlapping as much as possible. Your private self, who you are with your friends, family, in your pajamas. This is who you should be in public as well. You cannot be a kind person at home and an asshole in public. You are either or. So I think the body language, the meta messages that you send are actually who you actually are, who you really are. So they should be very close to your beliefs, to your principles, to your values, to the way you do business, to the way you talk to people. They are really linked with each other. And they should be really true to your character and personality.
Okay. Kind of a second question, and this is just more, your opinion on something with the reputation blueprint and everything. So it just came out in the news that Oracle laid off 30,000 people, and it's been circulating social media really, really heavily. Mm-hmm. When something like that happens, especially the way that it did, is it, I guess from the PR perspective, is there a way to come back from that? How do you come back from that? Or
this is a very, complex crisis communication situation. But at the same time, it's something that you can control. I mean, the business decision to lay off people is a business decision. And no one is in a position to judge this except for the business owners, the business responsible people. Okay, so fine, you made this decision. There were forces that led you to this business decision. The way you communicate it internally and externally is very important. And that's where your values come in. Remember the Vishal Garg story, the better.com story. The way you tell the people that they are fired, if you call them dumb dolphins who have been stealing for the company because you're only working for 2 hours a day, that's one thing. If you tell the people, guys, these are external factors that have brought us to this painful decision. It is a moment that we never would have wanted to live. We deeply regret having to do so. We have looked at all the other things in the company that could be slashed before we slashed jobs. We will take care of you. You will have severance package. We will support you in finding new jobs. We will pay your medical subscription for 6 months. We will, take your kids to the kindergarten for the next 6 months. If you show humanity, if you show you're a kind human being, that's all you have to do. Because yesterday it was Oracle, today it's another company, tomorrow it will be another company. People forget, but they don't forget if you're an asshole. We are talking about better.com after 10 years, and we will keep talking about it. So if you do it like you would speak with your mother, neighbor, cousin in a situation like this and show care and empathy, it will be easier for you to come back from that.
Okay, thank you.
I also have a question, if I may. I was thinking about crisis communication, and I was wondering if all the insights that you presented can be applicable in crisis communication, and if yes, what would be in a nutshell the relevant or opportune crisis strategy of communication?
Yeah, the most important thing in crisis communication is preparedness. The most important thing is that you don't get caught without guard. So we have a concept about this, and it's called deposits of trust. Build deposits of trust in times of peace, like you build deposits of money in a bank when you have money, and when you don't have money anymore, you go to the bank and you take out from those deposits. It's the same with trust. If you do good as a company, if you build trust with your stakeholders during times of peace, when you have a situation of crisis and you go to the trust bank, you go to the trust that you have deposited in people's minds and hearts, and you tell them what you do in order to repair that crisis, and they will believe you, and then they will be willing to support you further on. But if you have done nothing so far, if you have invested nothing in building deposits of trust, and you have a crisis all of a sudden, that can be a make or break for your business, for your organization. And then once you're in the middle of the crisis, there's a few things that you need to do, like have a plan, have a crisis team, know who it is, and have a manual, don't start writing the manual then. You have to write the manual in times of peace, and you have to know exactly what the team looks like and what member of the team makes what decision and is responsible with what. You need to be really fast. Time is of essence. You need to react. You need to assume the situation and show responsibility and acknowledge. And then we call it the ABC of crisis. It's acknowledge, bridge, and control. You need to acknowledge that it's a situation, and even if it's not your fault, don't blame the fault on someone else. Acknowledge it, say, listen, this happened, we are sorry, we apologize. And then bridge, which means you build a bridge and you move to your own story. This is what we are going to do during the next 24 hours in order to solve this situation. And then control, C, you keep communicating on that topic for a while, whether it's days or weeks, depends on the depths of the crisis, and you control the narrative and you show your stakeholders what you are doing in order not to get into that situation again.
Thank you.
Amazing perspective, Hortensia. I know your time is limited, so I will wrap up. My conclusion is quite simple. I'm trying to build what you mentioned in one of your advices. So this meeting, this webinar is for sure a deposit of resilience you have built for us. Hopefully it will last for a long time and not exactly use it when we have a times of crisis, but even in this time of peace. Thank you so much. Many perspectives, really interesting. Your practical experience says your worth and the value you have given to us. So thank you. Hope to see you soon in other projects.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, guys. I'm always very happy to get energized from smart young people like you. So if you want to continue talking to me, you can find me on LinkedIn, for instance, or on all possible channels, but LinkedIn is the best. And I do wish you to keep your curiosity alive and to invest in yourself. It's the best investment that you can make. And resilience is just one of the traits that you will develop as you move along. And good luck becoming great people.
Thank you so much, and good luck to you too.
Thank you.
Achieving many great projects from now.
Thank you, Paul, for having me, for inviting me. Take care, guys. Kisses. Bye. Bye.